Hi there, my name is Dr. Alexis Janosik, and I'm here to tell you about a project that we work on. It's called Tiny Things That Are Thrown Away in Big Water with Waves that are in animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back. This work was done with Lindsay Curl, Samantha Hurst, Margaret Lamont, and Christopher Pomery. My work focuses on things that are thrown away by humans and how these thrown away things hurt living things. Some of these thrown away things, such as bottles and bags, break down and become smaller things. As they break down even further, they become tiny things, and then these tiny things become even tinier. These tiny thrown away things can be eaten or taken up by living things. When these tinier things are eaten or taken up by living things, they can hurt these living things on our big blue ball, especially living things in blue waters with waves. Types of hurt can be going without food, getting stuck in body parts, getting sick, and making it hard to move. Also, these tiny thrown away things can make it hard for living things to make more living things. We wanted to see how these tiny thrown away things hurt the water animal with 4 legs and a covering on its back that lives in the water with the big waves. Animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back that live in water with big waves have been shown to have the most tiny thrown away things inside of them. In fact, they have more of these tiny thrown away things than things that fly or other things that move through the water. The animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back have different numbers of tiny thrown away things with them that change with what they eat. Many of the food types they also like to eat have tiny thrown away things inside of them. Tiny thrown away things have been seen at each different life point for animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back. We wanted to look at babies of these animals that were not living to see if tiny thrown away things were inside of these animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back. We thought that if babies had tiny thrown away things inside of them, then they must have come from the mom. Animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back that live in water with big waves are important animals because they also help other animals. So we found babies of animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back that were not living and looked at the number of tiny thrown away things inside of these babies. To do this, we used things to break down the not living babies to find only the tiny thrown away things. We looked at the babies group and looked at a group with nothing in it to be sure that if we saw a change, that the change was real. The tiny thrown away things were looked at using a tiny thing to look at really tiny stuff. And we found many tiny thrown away things inside the baby animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back. We found different kinds of tiny thrown away things from different starting places. Some were from things like bags or water bottles. Some were from things we do not see as often. We also found many colors of tiny thrown away things. So our not living baby animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back had tiny thrown away things inside of them that came from their mom. Most often, we saw tiny thrown away things that were white, blue, green, and the color of the sun. This was the first work done to try to number the tiny thrown away things inside not living baby animals with 4 legs and a covering on their back that live in the water with big waves. And from this, we can work to better think about how tiny thrown away things change and hurt living things. So what we found also helps to give a starting point when looking at other 4-leg animals with a covering on their back or even other animals. Thank you. And this work was done with support from all of these groups.